franchises, so pretty exciting. So we're going to do a bit of a introduction line here, so I'll just start off there, Danny.
Hi everybody, I'm Danny Silvers, CEO of Lantana Games, a kind of weird indie game studio. We work with students and just helping kids get a head start in the industry. You may know us from Children of Liberty or Mondrian Abstraction and Beauty.
And you started Boston Festival of Indie Games as well.
I did help start Boston Festival of Indie Games.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So I'm David Giltinan. I'm a host of the ARGcast, which is short for Another Retro Gaming Podcast, formerly with Retro Magazine. I was managing editor for that, along with my buddy Robert Workman there in the front. And yeah, do freelance writing as well as some voiceover work too.
Very cool. I'm Marty Sliva. I'm a senior editor at IGN.com. Right there, host, and generally produce terrible things that I apologize for on a daily basis.
My name's Jason. I'm the owner of a small blog and YouTube channel called Nerdfensive. I've been doing this for about 10 years.
Very cool. Awesome, yeah. So yeah, let's get started with some games, shall we? Yeah. So why don't you kick us off there Danny?
Okay, so what are we doing here? We're talking about HD remakes, we're talking about old games,
Yeah.
We're talking about things we want to see come back.
For sure, yeah. And there's like plenty of games, that just haven't gotten that HD remastered treatment or just haven't seen like a sequel in a long while. So yeah, so we're kind of like bringing up like these like old favorites that just deserve like to be seen again. Basically.
Yeah. Well, I think I want to start with something a bit more modern than that, and I want to talk about just for five minutes or so, the trend of remaking games that just came out. You look at like The Last of Us remastered or Journey HD.
Tomb Raider, things like that.
Tomb Raider, yeah.
Bulletstorm has a huge booth out there.
Yeah.
Like, do we think that this is a good use of money, or would just straight ports to modern systems be a better option?
I mean, I understand the business side of it. Like, I know that it's a relatively low overhead and it helps fund the next thing. And I know, like in the case of The Last of Us Remastered, I know it helped everyone at Naughty Dog learn the infrastructure of the PS4, which ultimately helped them with Uncharted 4, which is helping them with The Last of Us Part 2. So I get why that happens, but I also understand the frustration of people of being like, I bought this thing 5 years ago, why do you expect me to do that again? Yeah, and so it's ultimately the power's in the consumer hands. I mean, if they wouldn't do it if it didn't sell. And I like it a little bit more when they will do something like that, but then also treat it like a sort of a Criterion collection of a Blu-ray where they'll include some behind-the-scenes thing, concept art, stuff that didn't actually make it into the game, but that sort of comes along few and far between.
For sure, yeah. I mean, I think it makes sense for like The Last of Us a bit, just because the install base compared, from like PS3 to PS4, and like just kind of get like a great game like that, like on that system. But something like say like Sleeping Dogs, for example, like I think something like that was completely unnecessary.
Right.
So, yeah.
I kind of look at it as more of a, on the negative side of it, I think it gives some developers an out on coming up with new IPs. They're like, let's spend time remaking Skyrim that just came out 3 years ago, and let's call it remastered, and not work on the next project. Let's take some of that development team from the next project and put it on an HD remake, Instead of putting more effort into making a game, the next project amazing, they're taking away from that.
Yeah, I think a lot of that is learning the new architecture is what you see, jumping from, development for a PS3 or for a 360 is so different than an Xbox One and a PS4. And so it does sort of allow you to test the waters before you jump into something like Fallout 4 or, whatever, Elder Scrolls 6. So I understand where it comes from, yeah, but at the same time, I would obviously much rather always have a new game than a thing I played 5 years ago.
I think like a great positive too. Like if you look at like older franchises as well, like we're seeing say like Double Fine, for example, come back with like a lot of those old like point and click like adventure games.
So that's where it's cool. Is
Yeah.
I before Grim Fandango came out on PS4 and PC and Vita, the newer one, that game is impossible to run on a PC. Like it's impossible to even torrent it and figure out. Like I can't even illegally run the game.
Copies.
Yeah, exactly. Like I still have the disc and I just don't know what to do with it. And so this thing came out, I was like, great. Like if it's difficult for me to play something, then I totally want this. Or again, like a huge compilation like Rare Replay. Like that was amazing. That was 30 games that some of them are like impossible to play now. And then other ones are like Grabbed by the Ghoulies, which I'm fine never playing again.
We don't talk about that.
We don't talk about this. Yeah, we don't talk about what the Ghoulies did when they grabbed us. Yeah, so it's things like that that I feel like putting in the extra time and effort or digging up something from the past is when I'm totally fine with it.
Absolutely, yeah. And you know, like I know, like with you and I, Danny, like we're big like Apple II fans.
Oh, yeah.
As well. So I mean, like you know, like I know we're both like Commander Keen fans. And
Yep.
everything.
Big Commander
And,
Keen fan.
There was like Doom 2016 that actually kind of like teased Commander Keen a little bit.
A
just wanted,
little
like,
bit. I
skull.
think his skull was in there or something.
Got a little hyped up for us old school gamers and stuff.
I mean, you know, we still see the dope fish in just about every single game imaginable.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So, like you know, with you know, as far as like games though, that you would like personally love to see, like I don't know if you had like any particular ones in mind.
So the first one that I think I would absolutely love to see make a real comeback is Mega Man X. I know that he's coming into Marvel vs. Capcom, was it Unlimited?
Infinite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Infinite, one of those. And that's going to be great. It's going to be good to have him, and yeah, I'm going to guess Zero will make a comeback in that as well. But, you know, we haven't had a proper like Mega Man X game since X8 in 2005?
Yeah.
2004, 2005. So it's been a while. It's not like Capcom's completely abandoned Mega Man, but they have slowed down on him quite a bit.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, what they did with Mega Man 9 and Mega Man 10 on, you know, the 360 PS3 era was so good. Like, they really did recapture the spirit of the original games, you know, but just sort of modernized, you know, in a modern era. And so I can imagine them doing the same thing, like, you know, despite the fact that, you know, Fune's gone, like, they could still absolutely nail a traditional Mega Man X game, you know.
God, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like we're seeing like a lot of these like Mega Man clones kind of come up too, like especially in the indie gaming scene. You know, and we won't talk about Mighty Number 9, but it's you know, we are kind of like seeing like, you know, fans of like those games come in and like, you know, make like their own like versions of that Mega Man formula. But it would be cool to see, you know, X in particular for sure, like, you know, like with his, you know, dashing ability, like, you know, like wall riding and all that.
The whole upgrade system.
Yeah, the whole upgrade system. Yeah, do like the Hadouken and everything for sure. You know, like we want, like I know for me, like I would personally love to see that as well.
God, yeah.
Yeah, and you know an audience is there for it. I mean, you saw how huge Shovel Knight was a couple of years back, and still continues to be huge with what Yacht Club's doing with that. So yeah, I feel like, you know, now more than ever, it's you have, you know, people like us who grew up on Mega Man X and totally want to play it, and then you're gonna have a new generation that's like, oh, this is amazing. I want to play this on my Switch, or I want to play this on my PS4. You know.
For sure.
Even on mobile. I mean, the Mega Man X remake on iPhone was a little unfortunate.
Any 2D platformer on iPhone is unfortunate.
Agreed.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, no, for me, like I have to like mention like right off the bat, Battletoads. I am a huge Battletoads fan, and
Why'd you have to do that?
I had
so
to.
early in the panel.
I had to.
You couldn't have saved it for the end?
No.
You're not actually, no one's actually a Battletoads fan.
No.
I had to replay it when I reviewed Rare Replay. That game's fucking terrible. That game is absolutely terrible. Rare knows that game is terrible. Phil Spencer knows that game is terrible.
I will send you a link to an FAQ to go through the turbo tunnel personally. Or
I beat the game. I beat the game in my review. It's a bad game. It's not a good game. It's a terrible game.
I got hecklers in the crowd already.
Fine. What do you want? What would you want? They're just slimy and gross. Like, we don't need. Our country's already slimy and gross. We have a Battletoad as a president.
But we need slimy and gross heroes, not slimy and gross villains. I understand where you're coming from. Absolutely. But yeah, it would be really cool just because it's been kind of like teased, like, you know, quite a bit, like by Microsoft lately. You know, with like Rash and Killer Instinct. There was like the Xbox One version of Shovel Knight with like the Battletoads cameo and everything. So people have been kind of like chomping at the bit a little bit for that, except
No
for
one's
Marty.
been chomping at the bit. If Rare does that instead of a banjo game, like what? I'm quitting the industry. Like what? Like, there's no hope left.
I'm done.
Fair enough.
Well, you know, are they going to bother with... I was just going to say, they're going to bother with the new banjo game with ukulele coming out.
Yeah, I mean, that's, you know, one of the games I did want to talk about was Banjo, but we have this really interesting resurgence soon of, you know, 3D character-based platformers with ukulele, with Snake Pass, which is Sumo Digital, but also David Wise, who was a composer. Yeah, it looks great. You know, we had Ratchet and Clank last year. We're having Mario Odyssey later on in the year. Voodoo Vince remastered. Psychonauts 2 is next year. So, you know, the industry is cyclical like that, where, you know, there was sort of a, you know, like the .com burst, like there was a 3D character platformer bubble burst, and no one wanted those. And then all of a sudden the pendulum's swinging. It's like, well, it's been a decade since those. Let's bring some of them back.
What's old is new again.
Yeah, exactly, which I think is super cool. And yeah, I mean,
a real thing.
yeah, I always talk about banjo, but yeah, I played a couple hours of ukulele, and I mean, obviously it's the same developers, the same core development team, and it totally has, the tone, feel, and control of the original banjo. So I'm all for that.
Yeah, but you still love to see that bear and bird combo come back.
Yeah, there's something about he just wears jeans really well, and he's got a backpack, and I don't know what their relationship's like. I was talking yesterday, like, I'm not sure if it's like a platonic friendship or if there's something romantic there.
We need to get into that lore.
Yeah, there's like a Sam and Diane thing, but with a bear and a bird. I like it. I like it a lot.
For sure. With like Battletoads, for sure, like that's something we want to see, and like with like Banjo-Kazooie, for sure. I'm sure you have one there, Skelly.
Yeah, it started out as a joke, but when I started thinking about it more and more, for the younger kids in the audience, don't play it. It's called Leisure Suit Larry.
Round of applause for this man right here.
I actually thought about it as, with what's going on now, like more open world games, what you could do with something like that. Adult-oriented games like GTA, making like Leisure Suit Larry open world. Walking into a strip club and playing beer pong. I mean, who wouldn't want to do that?
What strip club plays beer pong?
The best kind.
Larry, the best guy.
Need to explore Boston a little bit.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
For sure. And like we were actually like talking outside actually about like a potential idea for a new Leisure Suit Larry game. Where a little bit of like Austin Powers kind of thing, where he's like a man at a time, comes into like the modern like PC era, and like he's doesn't quite fit in, but he still tries to, does his own kind of like perverse ways of like hitting on women and everything.
Yeah,
So.
there was a pitch I heard that went around. I don't think it's in development, but for a Duke Nukem reboot that is pretty much like Duke in 2017 has to become a social justice warrior, which I love. Like, he has like an estranged daughter who's like, "Dad, you're gross. Like, you are disgusting. What are you doing?" And so he like decides to, to try to win back her favor, that he starts becoming a social justice warrior.
I could get behind that. For
Yeah,
sure.
absolutely.
Get some like Twitter jokes in there
Yeah,
and everything.
I'd buy it.
Yeah.
For sure. That's really cool. I think you have like another game like lined up there too, Danny, right?
Yeah, so, in the last few years, we've seen Wolfenstein come back, we've seen Doom come back. Hell yeah, that new Doom.
Yeah.
But we haven't heard anything out of the Heretic Hexen side of things for a while, so that is a franchise that I'd love to see return. There's definitely room for it. Just in general, we don't see a lot of sort of medieval fantasy-themed first-person shooters anymore. They tend to be modern or futuristic, so... Yeah, maybe just in general, diving back into that kind of more Tolkien-esque lore in different genres would liven things up a little bit.
Yeah, and even like the original Quake had a feel like that. It was kind of like Gothic
that
horror,
industrial, medieval kind of thing.
Yeah, I totally think that would work. And does Bethesda own those IP? Yeah, and they obviously they treated Wolfenstein and Doom with such like amazing care, and it was such. I don't know, they were such smart, thorough reimaginings of those games for a 2016, 2017 audience, and I
Still
totally
catering
feel
to like the old audience.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. I mean, God, the nightmares in Wolfenstein, where that's so smart, so
really
good. Yeah, I would love that.
For sure.
Yeah, finding those secret levels in Doom, like that was such a throwback.
Yeah.
That was
to
a
the
real
old
pleasure for me.
sequels.
Yeah.
I'm like, where are they? Where's the switch?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Every single level. I'm like, okay, level's cleared out. No more monsters. Where's the switch?
Yeah, exactly. Even like the old school like sound effects like attached to it as well.
It's amazing.
Absolutely, yeah. It's a nostalgia trip for sure. And like maybe like after that, maybe we'll see a new Redneck Rampage. Who knows?
Who knows?
Wow. I mean, just kind of throwing it out there.
God, I haven't heard that in so long. Yikes.
Forgot about that game.
Yeah.
You gotta check out New Blood then for Dusk. Like it's pretty much like a accumulation basically of all those games.
Oh, there you go. I like it. Yeah.
Very cool. So I'll mention with my next game actually is with the Chrono franchise. So Chrono Trigger is my personal favorite game of all time. Absolutely love it. And I like Chrono Chrono Cross like a lot as well. But we just haven't seen like that franchise really come up. Like this is kind of again like another situation where it's been like teased and everything, because there was if you remember, I'm sure like you remember this, Marty, like where there was an E3 2015 hype video Square put out where they used the frog theme, and it's just like, oh yeah, looking forward to like Just Cause 3 and like Final Fantasy 14.
Why are you using that music?
And they're using that music, and they're like, and more. I was like, is the more Chrono Trigger, you know?
Nope.
But no, exactly. So that didn't happen. There was also a fan project to try to bring in 3D
that's right.
Chrono Trigger.
Yeah.
Yep, and there's like, you know, if you do like a Google search for like Chrono Trigger 3D fan project, whatever, you'll find like, you know, amazing screenshots. There's like, you know, also videos that like, you know, these fans are kind of putting together. You know, but unfortunately, you know, because, you know, Square owns the IP, they shut it down. I'm of the belief that they should have at least kind of gone into some talks with them to kind of see how serious they were about it and kind of like, you know, like see if it's something that they could collaborate on and work together, like similar to, like, I don't know if like Capcom really kind of got involved with like the Street Fighter Cross Mega Man project all that much, but they allowed them to do it and they did promote it in their own way.
Yeah. Yeah, I would love, Square's such an interesting company because, you know, they will simultaneously show such TLC to their past. I mean, you play Final Fantasy 15 and you can be driving around and buy the soundtracks for any of the old games. But then at the same time, like they have this beloved game. I mean, I don't know if you can call it a franchise if there's only 2 of them, but like Chrono Trigger is heralded as one of the greatest games of all time by pretty much unanimously everyone. And the fact that they've been sitting on it for over 20 years and haven't done anything with it is sort of baffling.
It's a crying shame.
It is. Like, I really don't understand where that's coming from. Like, I don't understand why they wouldn't divert resources to that.
Well, you know, then at the same time, you look at the upcoming Final Fantasy VII, and you're kind of like, okay, so it's Final Fantasy VII, but is it Final Fantasy VII?
Yeah, it has like a bit of a divide a little bit as far as how that's being handled. Yeah.
I mean, I'm probably still going to buy it because I love Final Fantasy VII, but I'm going to be like, you know, I kind of miss the blocky-looking toy character.
They went a little beyond HD remake with that.
I mean, then you see, like, they developed I Am Setsuna. It's like, well, why didn't they just make a Chrono Trigger game? Because they pretty much made a Chrono Trigger game.
Yeah. It's Chrono Trigger, like, with like, kind of like a new coat of paint, but, like, not quite.
Yeah.
You know, and... Like, I know personally for me, like, I would love to see a continuation of Chrono Trigger specifically and, like, have, like, those, like, you know, those characters come back. Either that or just make, like, a whole new adventure, a whole new characters and everything, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I would just love to see a new time travel themed, like, RPG like that, like, where you have, like, you know, all the multiple endings and, you know, things changing within, like, the different time periods and everything as you, you know, as you have that happen.
Yeah.
I'll just kind of say real quick, like, one of my favorite all-time gaming moments is, like, when you leave Robo in 600 AD.
Oh, yeah.
And, like, you know, he, like, makes, like, the forest, like, you know, come alive and everything, and then you find him, and he's, like, basically all broken down, and you bring him back. Like, that's absolutely
so cool.
amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what they'll probably do at some point is they'll like come up with a game or a book or something that ties I Am Setsuna into the Chrono series.
We'll just,
set
weave
up
them together.
something
There you go.
later on the line.
Yeah.
That tends to be what people do now is they'll be like, oh, we had this one thing, you know, like Wind Waker, for instance, and they'll be like, how do we tie this into the rest of Legend of Zelda?
Yeah.
Sure. I don't know if you have, like, another game there.
Yeah, I mean, it's just what Nintendo's done with Metroid, or what they haven't done with Metroid. The fact that we haven't had a 2D Metroid in, I think, over a decade. And the last time we saw Samus was in that awful 3DS.
Other end.
Yeah.
We
No,
don't talk about it.
no, it was the one, the Federation Force.
Force,
Yeah,
oh
yeah. Yeah, and then other M. Yeah, we don't need to talk about that. Yeah, but it's just, again, it's one of those baffling decisions of, like, we've expected literally every E3, like, they have to announce a new Metroid Prime 4 or another 2D Metroid or whatever Metroid Dread was, and they just don't.
Yeah.
And again, I don't understand, like, how those decisions come to be, because it just seems like such an easy win.
Yeah.
Considering that it's, you know, it was for such a long time the third Nintendo pillar.
Yeah.
But then, I don't know, when, you know, Nintendo's weird and they always do new things, and, you know, they did Splatoon, and I was like, no one's going to play this. And I'm like, oh, this game's huge, never mind. Yeah.
But, like, there was actually, like, another similar, like, situation with Nintendo and, like, Fan Project, because there was the, like, AM2, I think it was called. You know, it's basically, like, bringing back, like, the Game Boy Metroid, but in, like, Super Metroid, sort of style and everything. And, you know, it looks great. Like, you know, I know, like, it plays great, too. Like, it was kind of, like, out there before, like, Nintendo's just kind of put the kibosh on it, right? Like,
Yeah, it always baffles me of folks who put so much effort into fan projects.
Yeah.
Because I'm just like, most of the times these get shut down. Like, you either have to make these and never give it to anyone, or, like, sort of, you know, come to terms with the fact that as soon as it becomes popular, the big guy's going to find out.
Exactly.
Which sucks. Like, I mean, if Nintendo's not doing anything with it, these kids should be able to.
Absolutely. Yeah. I don't know if you're like a big like Metroid fan yourself there, Skelly.
I am. I grew up like playing that, and another game I want to see remade because I can still play it for hours to this day. It's Castlevania 2: Simon's Quest.
I heard one person sigh. Yeah, whoever sighed, I was on your side.
like,
yeah.
Very confused reaction.
Yeah, me and Rob were talking about it last night. He said Dracula's Curse, but when I was like 7 years old, Castlevania 2: Simon's Quest, I used to go to my babysitter's house just to play it. So, I mean, because my mom wouldn't let me play it because she thought it was too bad for me
Yeah.
as
I saw that like
a
Nintendo
little
Power
nice
cover.
little altar boy growing up. So, I mean, that and Metroid were my two #1 games on NES, and I would love to see them come back. I want to see some indie developer, just like they did with, the non-talked about Mighty Number 9. I mean, an indie developer take it and try to do something with it on the side.
That'd be really cool. Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like it's in 2017, it's easier to make something that is just like obtuse and archaic and sort of like non-handholdy. Like, I don't know, in my opinion, like Castlevania 2 is a little too obtuse at times, whereas some people will compare the Soul series to it, but I think the Soul series has a very like strict set of rules.
Right.
Whereas Castlevania 2, I'm like, what did that mean?
Exactly.
What about a duck?
Where am I supposed to go? I'm
Yeah,
supposed to kneel here for 3 seconds?
It was just
and
amazing.
do
You,
what?
you did that as a kid, because as a kid, I was like, I played an hour of it. I'm like, all right, this is just mind-bogglingly weird. Like, I can't handle this. Yeah.
Well, in order to get to that game, you had to subscribe to Nintendo Power
Yeah.
and figure out what you were doing. I mean,
Absolutely. Yeah, so, I don't know if you have like another game there, Skelly, like to throw out there?
Castlevania 2 is really the only other game that I wanted to see remade.
Yeah.
No.
Very much,
The
yeah.
only one? You don't want like ActRaiser to come back? Earthbound?
Yeah. Astianics?
Yeah.
Gex the Gecko.
Yeah.
I mean,
I could fuck with some Gex.
Yeah.
I could bring that lizard boy back. Yeah. No, ActRaiser was one just. It was such an interesting concept of the juxtaposition between like the 2D action platforming and then the overhead, world building God simulator, and the way the two of those spoke together. Like it was one of the first. I grew up as a console gamer, and so I wasn't. I'm sure stuff like that was going on in the PC world, but like as someone with a Super Nintendo, like that was so foreign and new and outside the box for me, and ahead of its time when it comes to console games. And so I would love to see what they could do with that now, like how a traditional action game could speak with a world building game like that. I mean, I guess Dark Cloud was sort of did some of that ish. Yeah. But I would love to see someone sort of take that concept and run with it.
Cool. That's awesome, yeah. I don't feel like another game there, Danny, you can throw out there.
Another game. There's one other franchise that I would love to see come back. It's only been like slightly teased as a demo, and that would be Jazz Jackrabbit.
Yeah.
I remember in middle school, I'd come home from school every day, load up Jazz 2 online, and just jump around shooting just playing CTF every day. Classic 2D CTF, fast paced. But the only thing we've seen from Jazz Jackrabbit in the last 20 years is like a 2D top-down demo for Unreal Engine 3. So
That's right, yeah.
that's all we get.
Yeah, we gotta call Cliffy B for that one then, yeah.
Cliff, I know you're here.
Yeah, he's like somewhere out there. Yeah, I don't know if you played any Jazz Jackrabbits.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, that was one of the I had a PC that just strong enough to run something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's one of the again, is that Epic owns that?
Yeah.
So I would I don't know. I totally could see them doing that, especially with they keep wanting to show how different the Unreal Engine can be, and how it's like, hey, this isn't just a big sweaty meat engine. Like this is you can make these beautiful 2D side scrollers, and so to bring it back with that and be like, hey, look, you can also do this with our engine. I think it'd be really smart. Yeah.
Wouldn't cost them anything to do.
No, seriously.
Comparatively.
Yeah.
It would diversify their portfolio a little bit too, with kind of grimy, dirty, kind of Gears of War sort of games and stuff, and just have something a little more bright, colorful, and something that's nostalgic too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I like that a lot.
Yeah. Actually, yeah. So next game I have actually is on the Legacy of Kain series.
R.I.P. Nosgoth.
Danny's got Nosgoth covered, but
I'm probably the only person in this room who liked Nosgoth, but if anybody else here played, scream now.
for sure. But I'm talking about more with the mainline series. So they have Blood Omens or Soul Reavers, things like that, and exactly, yeah, and to have bring back Kain, bring back Azrael, but I feel with just how crazy that storyline got by the end of the last game that came out. Basically just do a straight up reboot pretty much of that whole series, but still have the same sort of vampire underworld kind of like theme kind of going on there. And yeah, I mean, considering the fact that we got like new Tomb Raider games, I mean, Legacy of Kain is long overdue for sure.
Yeah, and Square has shown that they're willing to, revitalize some of those old franchises and even like outsource, well, not outsource, but put it in the hands of another developer. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, I think it was just around a year ago, and I think IGN actually had some video of it, was Dark Sun.
Yeah, that's
It was
right.
supposed
That's
to come
right.
out.
Yeah.
And I thought that actually looked pretty cool.
Yeah, so did I. Yeah, I think that was part of a feature on like the 13 saddest
Yeah.
game cancellations. So we talked about that and
was
PT
coming
and
along.
Elemento. Yeah, and it was far along. Like there was a ton of footage of that game, and that's always like one of the interesting things is that was surfaced. Like I can't imagine how much there is out there that we've never seen or even heard of.
Yeah.
On
I don't even wanna
someone's
think about
laptop.
it. It's just tragic to think like what is in the graveyard of video games that is just unmarked tombstones.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's more like a landfill.
Yeah.
With E.T.
Yeah.
You just had to drop that,
I
didn't you?
did. Told you I was gonna bring it up. Another game that I want to see, which the idea got shit on by Blizzard at BlizzCon this year when it got brought up in a Q&A, is Warcraft 3. Yeah, it's a game that a lot of people want to see to the point where there was modders that actually made a remake of it. I think it was in StarCraft 2. They went through and redid all of Warcraft 3, but Blizzard did come out and say they would never do it because they wouldn't be able to. They said.
I think we'll see Warcraft 4 eventually. I mean,
I hope
we're talking about a game in franchise with the biggest unbeatable MMO ever.
Right.
So at this point they might as well make a Warcraft 4. I can't honestly say when it'll be.
They need
I
to
would
because we
guess
don't know
within the
how
next
long the
decade.
time. We don't know how long the timeline is now with World of Warcraft and how much longer that's going to go.
Yeah.
With expansion after expansion, it's been what 12, 13 years
has,
now.
Has the install base been steadily going down though, or has it
Yeah,
just been kind of peaks and
it's
valleys?
been going down. I think last year they lost like 700,000 subscribers, or a couple million actually. Sorry, but they're still over that like 5 million mark.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I think obviously there's a spike anytime a new expansion comes out.
Sure.
Yeah, but Blizzard, like Valve, is an interesting company where, Blizzard's having such tremendous success with a thing like Overwatch, and like, there's never going to need to be an Overwatch 2.
Yeah.
Like, this is like, that game is a platform for the next decade.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. So like, I'm afraid to say that they might not have any reason really to go back to like, the old school RTS Warcraft games, but I know personally for me, like, it'd be really great to see. I have like a lot of like personal memories, like with like Warcraft 2, the expansion with that. I think Tides of Darkness was one of them. A lot of fun and really cool like lore too.
Yeah.
Kind of like explore that lore and that traditional single player sort of style would be really neat.
Yeah.
For sure. On the field, like another one, Marty, you kind of throw it?
Yeah, I was playing through Resident Evil 7 the other day. Made me really want Capcom to sort of treat Dino Crisis with the same.
Yes.
Yeah. Like,
Oh
just
yeah, buddy. Yeah, that's what's up. That's what's up.
like imagining a claustrophobic, terrifying first-person dinosaur game
Yes.
like that. I think that would be absolutely incredible. And just,
That first scene with the T-Rex coming to the
yeah,
office.
seriously, yeah. And like that was scary, and that game looks like shit now, and it's still kind of scary. So imagining like what that would look like,
I played on Vita and it was
yeah,
like scary.
Yeah, exactly. Because we have, there's a lot of dinosaur games, especially on Steam, but none of them are particularly scary. Like a lot of them, like something like Ark is like survival based and sort of sandboxy.
More action-based.
Yeah. So I think that's something that would be super cool. And it's, not like they would make a Jurassic Park game, but the fact that Jurassic World did so incredibly well, at the box office, I feel like that hunger for cool T-Rexes is there.
Dinos are cool again.
Dinos are cool again.
For all the
Hey,
fighting
going
game
back
fans, bring back Primal Rage.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Hey,
And
Don't do
going back to Tomb Raider, you remember in the original Tomb Raider, you have the T-Rex just jumps out of nowhere
That's
at
right.
you. In the remake, there's like an FMV for it. Nowhere near as scary. Bring that back into the gameplay.
Yeah.
That's where we want the dinosaurs to be.
Yeah.
you see like this huge, humongous, freaking beast like coming
Yeah.
at you, and like your controller is like, oh shit, I gotta do something now.
Yeah.
It's like that very moment. It's like, okay, we'll just try to figure this out. How
Yeah,
to
like
survive.
one of the most effective VR demos I've ever had was just a like a sizzle reel tech demo thing. I think it was on early Oculus, and you're in a pretty much Jurassic Park-y sort of museum, and a T-Rex is slowly walking towards you from the other end of the hall, and you can't move, you can't do anything, but just the sense of dread of it getting closer and closer, and the scope of how big it is as it's walking over you is like so powerful. So even something like that in VR could be.
So what comes to mind with that then is that, if you're going to do VR and, bring back an old school game, how about the Jurassic Park arcade game?
There you go, yeah.
VR,
Yeah.
have like the T-Rex kind of chasing you down while you're in the back of the
Jeep.
The Jeep.
Yeah, that
exactly.
could be cool, yeah.
The old Star Wars arcade game, for that matter, doing the trench run and
There you
everything.
go.
Yeah.
VR.
Yeah, really cool.
Yeah, I would love that.
Yeah. Skelly, I don't know if you had like another one to kind of throw out there, or?
No?
No? All right. So let's see. So looking at the time here. So I was actually like looking to see if someone from the audience wants to come up and you can form like a line to talk about like whatever like games or game franchises they would love to see come back. And also just kind of preface everything. I am doing a giveaway, so whoever that we choose as like basically the one that we deem to be, I guess, like the best franchise that we love to see come back, will win this pretty awesome like a signed, basically kind of map poster kind of thing of Diablo right here too. So
Cool.
fun little incentive for you guys. So lay it on us.
So yeah, the game that I found it and I played it, and I've heard about it, but I never really got to try it until recently, and it actually is quite good, and I'd like to see, I don't think Sega has done much with his Rystar.
Rystar, yeah.
So I don't know if,
mean, Rob.
how many of those, there's the first one for the Genesis, which is, I think is actually quite good, but is there any others, or is it just that one game?
I
think that is the only.
Yeah, I don't recall ever there being a
I
Rystar
think there was like
too.
a Game Gear one, right?
No, I don't think so. Yeah, there was a lot of one-off games, or like, two of them on the Sega Genesis that Sega just sort of never continued on to the Saturn or Dreamcast or even afterwards.
Like I know with like Rystar was like unfortunate in the case that it was at the end of the Genesis life
Yeah.
cycle too, so it didn't really have much breathing room,
Sure.
honestly, to really permeate with like a lot of audiences.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah.
The thing is, there's a lot of people who want to play these old games, these one-offs that are basically completely forgotten. And unfortunately, the only way you can play them sometimes, unless they're, available in the eShop or whatever, is through, emulation, as illegal as it is.
Yeah.
Personally, I think it would be good for these platform holders, for platforms that are 30, 40, going on 50 years old in some cases, to actually say, hey, you know what, let's, release a legal emulator of our own, like on Windows.
Yep.
Open up like a sort of Steam for all these old games that were on this platform, and then just let people buy them and play them till the end of time, because otherwise you're just going to be spending R&D money bringing them to every single individual platform forever. So you might as well do something with cross-compatibility.
Yeah, I love
But
that.
Danny, that makes too much sense.
I know, right? God forbid. God forbid we want to make money.
Yeah.
All right.
Hello? I don't think Konami would care about this, but I guess the franchise we should see back again would be the Rocket Knight series.
Yeah.
Rockin' It, yeah.
Because
Yeah.
Good call.
we have the 3 games, the original for Genesis, then Sparkster, which is actually 2 separate different games, one for Genesis and N64 and SNES. The latest we actually have was Rocket Knights, which was back several years ago on PS3 and 360, which is an okay
Yeah,
game.
that's right.
Yeah.
If nothing else, we should probably see a HD remake of sorts, or
Yeah.
if not a sequel. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that would be really cool. Yeah, I would absolutely play it. And that was one of those, like, there were so many really smart 2D platformers in the, early to mid 90s that had just a really interesting hook, like a gameplay gimmick. And I think that was one of them that was so strong and it differentiated it from something like Sonic or Mario. And yeah, I played the PS3 version that came out a couple years ago, and it was a ton of fun.
Yeah,
So,
it's kind of a shortfall of games nowadays, is developers are having trouble like finding their own hook. Usually what you do now is you see something like, oh, cool, Dark Souls has this, sort of RPG mechanic where if you die, you have to go back and collect your XP or you lose it forever. So why don't we just put that into our game? So you get like Salt and Sanctuary, which is a great game, but it's just 2D Dark Souls.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
For sure. All right.
Yeah.
Hey, how's it going?
Hi.
First off, Danny, I love the hat. I need to ask Monty for one.
Actually, Tim gave me this one.
Oh, did he? Oh, so he's the one I have to talk to. Okay.
Go talk to Tim, yeah.
So as you guys were talking, a couple games ran through my mind. When you talked about Warcraft, I was thinking Battlefield Middle-earth 2. When you're talking about Metroid, I was thinking F-Zero. But the really big one, this one's kind of stuck in copyright hell between Monolith Soft and Square Enix for the PlayStation 1. This RPG had a lot of spiritual successors, a lot of nods, but Xenogears.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Man.
What do you think?
A lot of hours spent playing that
Yeah.
game.
So I have to drop a fact, which I know I dropped on you, Skelly, and you didn't even realize this. So in the very early development stage of Xenogears, there was actually supposed to be a sequel to Chrono Trigger.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of content in the second disc that wasn't, it was like, seemed to be cut out, but that would be really great in some kind of remake.
For sure, yeah. Totally behind that, yeah.
Yeah, and that's like I didn't really like the Xenosaga games. I think I tried to trick myself into liking them, the PS2 trilogy, but it was also like, oh man, I spent 200 hours of my life on these games.
Wasn't there one on the Wii? I feel like there was one.
Well, then on the Wii there was Xenoblade Chronicles and Xenoblade Chronicle or X or whatever
Yeah,
for Wii
yeah.
U. Yeah.
It's kind of spun off into its
Yeah,
own.
I just want Xenogears.
Exactly, yeah. More mechs, please.
Yeah.
Mechs and dinosaurs.
So one game I'd like to see a remake of is Check Quest. I don't know if you guys ever played that. And especially when they remade Doom. When they remade Doom, because I know Check Quest is a mod off the original Doom.
Yeah.
And it made me really want them to either do an Easter egg or...
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Chex Quest and Noah's Ark 3D will be coming up after the Hex.
Yeah.
Gotta go wisdom tree in there.
I'm just imagining like it running in the Doom 2016 engine and like you punching something that's just shattering into a bunch of like little wheat bits and like gushing milk.
Kind of like a super hot effect.
Yeah. I'm really liking this.
And I have one more question. So, like Grand Theft Auto 4, you know, there's a lot of community-based modifications for that graphically.
Yep.
And you see like all the textures and like the way they did all the shadowing in the community, and you see like the rainfall.
Driving
and
a piano.
And then, yes. But then you see 5 come out and not look as good as what the community made, 3-4 years before. What do you guys think of that? And that's my last question.
Well, I think a lot of developers, publishers kind of underestimate the community a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, you look at even the Skyrim remaster, in some respects, didn't look as good as a fully modded original Skyrim.
Oh, yeah.
Luckily, that was completely compatible with all the mods from the original Skyrim, so you could update it to fix it up a little bit. But just going back to underestimating the community and going back to what you said earlier, Marty, about fan games, I think there's opportunity in the industry for big developers to reach out to indies, kind of like with what happened with Serious Sam, and say, hey, make some games in this franchise. We can't afford to put, millions of dollars into it, but we can give you, $20,000, $30,000 to get something done in a couple months, get something out there, the fans want to play this series. And indie developers will jump on that.
Yep.
Be like, we are in, we're going to do this right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think ultimately it is like there's sort of an unlimited pool of time and resources in communities of games like GTA 4 that, like, well, yeah, Rockstar is one of the like most technically proficient developers on the planet, but even that, like, they can't compete with millions of people who have endless freedom and time and imagination to tinker away at a game over the course of years. So, yeah, I find it really interesting. And I also like the stories where, like the game Snake Pass, which I brought up earlier, I think the creative director on it from Sumo Digital rose up through the ranks. He was just a community member of Little Big Planet, and he was making really cool levels. And, Media Molecule and Sumo Digital, who did LBP3, noticed him and elevated him, and he became a level designer, and now he's the lead on this game, which is so cool. Like, it would be awesome if a company like Rockstar, Bethesda looked at these, like, amazing community members and we're like, all right, let's pull them in and see what they can do.
I mean, that's kind of like the great thing I think about, like, modding communities and, like, because it really does cultivate, like, your inner game designer, I guess, and, like, it can really influence, like, someone to kind of get into it, like, full time and, see something, like, really cool down the line from them. So.
Yeah, and there are stories like Steve Gaynor from Fulbright got his start by making mods for Fear. And then 2K noticed and brought him on, and then he directed Bioshock Minerva's Den, and then obviously Going Home in Tacoma, which is super cool.
The two guys who made Ori and the Blind Forest were actually Jazz Jackrabbit 2 level editors
Really?
back in '98.
That's awesome.
That's where they met.
Dropping knowledge.
Yeah, that's so cool. That's so cool.
I wish more companies would actually open, like they did with Fallout, for open modding and support it a little more. Because then we wouldn't see the influx of, like, newer games being remade, like Skyrim. Because if they actually had mod support and the developers actually did, then we would have games that look phenomenal. We wouldn't have to worry about buying them again just to have them look not as good as they do.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, first off, Marty, the only slimy and gross character in retro gaming is Booger Man. Okay? Get that right.
You want to bring him back?
Yeah, they tried in a Kickstarter. They tried to bring him back in a Kickstarter with Earthworm Jim, and it failed. But no, something that perplexes me, like EA Sports spends millions of dollars developing these NBA Live games that don't come out, and all they need to do is do what they do with NBA Jam and bring back NBA Street.
Yeah.
Tell me that wouldn't make sense.
Yeah.
Off the heezy.
Off the heezy, flying in the air.
Yeah.
Just a thought, it can, retro franchises like that. I mean, you saw what SSX did when it came back and everything like that. So, why not bring back NBA Street? Bring back, for that matter, NFL Street.
It's more like EA big in general.
It's just EA. I mean, they're getting somewhere, but I just thought I'd throw that out.
Yeah, no, NBA Street was awesome, and it's one of those games that transcends. Like it's a basketball game. It's not really a basketball game.
Not
Like
really.
you don't have to care about basketball to enjoy it. Yeah, it was a ton of fun. Yeah.
Well, I think when it comes to sports franchises, one of the biggest problems is, the actual associations themselves.
Sure.
They are very protective of their images right now,
Yeah.
much more so than they were in the 90s. Like you look at Roger Goodell,
Yeah.
and you've got somebody who has
Douchebag.
no sense of humor. There's the booze I was waiting
You're
on.
in the wrong state. That's why we can't have nice things.
You get pitchforks right.
No, but also what you guys
Get those.
But basically, they want sports franchises that are like true to the game and less arcadey.
Right.
So
Well, NBA Jam worked though.
it did,
Yeah.
but I don't know. if
Mutant
it
League
was
Football?
It's like NFL Street or something.
Yeah.
But actually, real quick, touching on sports franchises to bring back and going forward, I would love to see a VR version of like Knockout Kings. Like a VR boxing game would just be so badass.
The Evander Holyfield effect?
I'll just say Punch Out personally, but
Punch out, yeah.
There you go.
Just make sure your kids aren't around.
see Super Macho Man.
Oops, I was playing VR Knockout Kings. Sorry, man.
Gentlemen, thank you very much for keeping the dream of a legacy of Kane, probably alive. We need Kane and Raziel back, and,
Absolutely.
big ups to the Necromancer Martanius. Thank you very much for making me relive horrible, horrible nights that had a curse. Thank you. Great soundtrack. Just,
Love it.
with all the potential and probably the most surprising games of all time when I rented it back in the day, a lovely Nintendo 64 gem, which I'd love to see with a giant piece of crap singing to us, I am the great mighty Pooh. So Conker's Bad Fur Day. Please bring it back. It's so much potential.
Come on up with that. That deserves a high five. Absolutely.
Greg the Grim Reaper from what happened last year?
Yeah.
He didn't just go after cats, man. He went after everybody, so.
Give this man a medal. I'm a huge Conker fan, and honestly, it breaks my heart when I see how Conker's being used now with the Project Spark.
It was Project Spark, and then a really interesting HoloLens demo. We had a
that
HoloLens in
HoloLens
our office for a little bit, and it was totally just regular, nice Conker, not vulgar Conker, but it was really impressive to put it on and see him just like jump up on my desk and run across it, and then jump on my chair, and I'm like, how is this possible?
Yeah.
Web series just come everywhere from that game. It's a phenomenal
it's cool
game.
technology, but it's not the Conker I know.
No.
Cool.
Sure.
Thanks, guys.
I don't know if you played any Conker there, Danny? Or?
A little bit, not enough to talk about it.
No, okay. Yeah, but yeah.
Hates cats.
Yeah, absolutely. For sure. Go ahead.
Hey guys. So I'm trying to think of like the game I would most want a reboot, and there's a couple games that come through mind. One was a good Square game on the PS1, which was Threads of Fate, which I loved. It was a great game. Then on PS2 is an Atlas game that they canceled the sequel because they didn't think there was enough demand in the Americas, Europe, or Japan, which was Steambot Chronicles, which is a very not really known very well, but like the people who know it, at least that I know, love it, and I would love to see another one, but it's just not going to happen.
You're in the right panel then.
And the two that I'm like fighting for top is now I would love to see Free Radical come out with another Time Splitters. And I know there's a fan project called Time Splitters Rewind that it would be awesome to see because it's supposed to come out this year, but it's supposed to be like multiplayer only so far. It'd be cool to see some more story stuff. But just because the fact that it's mind-numbing and it's got great music, and the colors are awesome. I would just love to see another Ape Escape.
Yeah.
Good call. Good call.
That was a Shuhei Yoshida joint back when he was in the trenches. Yeah, I would love to see Ape Escape. And going back to the Square thing, Square is the company probably with the most dormant IP that I just don't understand, like why they're not doing something with, The Secret of Mana, with Brave Fencer Musashi, with Parasite Eve, Xenogears, Threads of Fate, like the Vagrant story, Jesus Christ, like it is Final Fantasy Tactics, Einhander, yeah, like this whole panel could be just called Square. What are you doing?
Square, please, for the love of God, do Square.
Yeah, like seriously,
We got this all wrong.
Yeah, that's God, yeah, that's insane.
Right, and then invite you up.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, so first thing, Chex Quest, the original artist is actually remaking it in Unreal Engine 4 for fun. Okay, so Google that. And just...
Yes.
Understand the concept of love.
So yeah, Jet Set Radio. They really missed the boat on the Wii because point controls, the spray paint stuff, easy.
Yeah.
Even the Wii U.
I mean, even the Switch, they could do that now with the second Joy-Con.
There was actually supposed to be a new Jet Set Radio, I think, coming on Wii at some point, like on the original Wii.
Yeah, they
but,
were toying around with it. They were going to bring back the original movement mechanics for the spray paint, but never went anywhere.
Yeah, like even, what did you guys think of Future?
Love Future.
I love Future.
Yeah, I think it's like I don't like it as much as Jet Set, but I think it's so gorgeous. It's like one of the best looking games on Xbox.
It was one of the reasons why I got the Xbox, honestly, because it felt like the Dreamcast 2 to me. Honestly, I'll just kind of say the Dreamcast was probably my favorite console of all time, just because of all the fighters and all that stuff. But for franchises like Shenmue and Jet Set Radio, and seeing that seeing sequels come out for Xbox, I was like, of course I'm gonna get that. And I guess Halo, shoot. Yeah.
Hey.
Hi. So when I was younger, I used to play a lot of RPG games. So two of them that I would really love to see come back. First one is Succoden.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah.
Succoden, I still play that on PlayStation once in a while.
Yeah.
Did you play 2? That was the.
Do I play? Do I play?
What kind of question is that?
No, I'm just saying.
I'm disrespected right now.
Yeah. 2 is one of my favorite games.
So actually, I found one when I went into this pawn shop, and they had a list. They had a wall of games that were just $10. And the only reason I bought it was because I thought it was a 2-disc game, so it would take me longer to beat.
Yeah.
But turns out it came in a 2-disc case because the manual was so thick.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And then 2 I found in this other pawn shop that they had no idea what they had, and they're
how expensive it was.
Yeah. They gave me they're like, oh, it's 20. We could let it go for 15, and I'm like, do you have 2 of them?
Right.
Yeah. And the other games or franchise that I like to see come back was by forgot the publisher, but Lunar.
Oh yeah, Lunar. Yeah.
Yes, working Designs. And I like that franchise because when you bought the game, it came in this carton. You got the game, the CD, a whole bunch of stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, and that was one of the first games I remember that had those cutscenes just felt like an anime, which I thought was super cool. Which I feel like the closest thing carrying the torch now might be Ni no Kuni. Yeah. In terms of melding anime with a traditional RPG. So
that definitely scratches that that itch and
Thank you.
everything. But as far as bringing back those characters and just that style of game and everything. The way it was and everything for sure.
Wait, Suikoden was Konami, right? Yep. Enjoy Suikoden 6 Pachinko.
All right. I think that the Western world deserves a version of Shining Force 3 that has chapters 2 and 3 included.
Absolutely.
Just had to say it.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Good call.
Yeah. Hey.
So something that came up recently with the development of Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, as we talked about earlier, Capcom actually stated that they were interested in using it to bring back old franchises that hadn't been forgotten about. So say we could get something like Strider other than the 2014 game, Darkstalker's back, God Hand back.
Oh wow. Darkstalker's definitely behind for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I God Hand. That's still, we get a lot of shit for a God Hand review IGN posted. I was a child when they posted it. And
Tell us a story, Marty.
Well, I think we gave it a 3. And people will be mad at me, and I'm like, I think I was in high school.
People just love that box art. That was the thing.
Yeah. No, it rules.
I mean, a 3 on IGN, aren't you just trying to fit in with the crowd at that point?
Yeah, exactly.
Though in all honesty, the franchise I would probably want to see come back the most, despite getting a DS game like several years ago, Shinobi, back on the Genesis.
Yeah.
Nothing really ever felt as smooth to me as like Shinobi 3, where I could just play that game endlessly with how fast it just feels. And
because I liked the Strider, the new Strider game that came out a couple years back, and so I feel like a Shinobi game sort of in that similar vein would be awesome. And
it'd be great if we could bring back Spider-Man, Batman, like from.
Oh
the
yeah.
The unofficial,
Ninja game.
Spider-Man.
Well, we don't see a lot of those like fast-paced super action platformer kind of stuff anymore. You know, a little bit from the indie scene, but it tends to be multiplayer in nature, so something single player.
Sure. Yeah, it seems like the pendulum swung, and it's like the Dark Souls influence of the 2D platformer, like you mentioned with Salt and Sanctuary. Yeah. Awesome. Good picks.
Yeah, but no matter what, Revenge of Shinobi will still be the only game where you can fight Rambo, Spider-Man, Batman, and Godzilla all at once.
That's the one.
Hey, never say never.
I wrote a piece on Retro Magazine.
Hi.
Something I would definitely want to see back, and especially with the new movies, would be a new Rogue Squadron game.
Yeah.
Good call.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, I don't know how that. I mean, maybe like we have cool Star Wars games in development right now.
But there's nothing along the lines of X-Wing or TIE Fighter or Rogue
No,
Squadron.
and I really think, like, I'm not sure if there's anyone in the EA stable that makes sense. Like, I've wanted a pod racing game from Criterion.
Yeah.
Like,
it'd be cool to see like a new pod racer.
Yeah, and like just imagining that with like the burnout level of destructibility. Yeah.
That'd be real cool.
I would love Rogue
It's one of the
Squadron.
problems of not having a dedicated LucasArts anymore. We're getting some Star Wars games, but it's EA, so it's all going to be very business focused and not as like story or creativity.
I mean, I trust Amy. If Amy Hennig's leading one of them, I trust her. Jade Raymond.
Well, they're going to get like an amazing story out of it.
Yeah.
For sure.
Cool.
Hey, I used to love making just these stupid robots to fight my friends with in Armored Core. I think if they did just like a crazy amount of customization, like arena fighting, ridiculous thing, I would love that.
I legitimately do think in the next 3 or 4 years we'll see Miyazaki producing a new Armored Core game. I honestly do think that.
Can we quote you on that?
You could quote me saying, I think that. I didn't say someone told me that. I said, I think that.
Oh, you're kind of on the inside with that.
Yeah.
A game that I would really like to see come back, on the PS2 era, some of my favorite games were like the Ratchet and Clank, Sly Cooper, and Jack and Daxter. I know that Naughty Dog would probably never go back. I mean, they tried to, but honestly, I don't think they should waste their talents on it because they're much better off doing like Uncharted, Last of Us style games.
I tend to agree.
But even if Sony were to give Jack and Daxter to like a Sanzaru or something like that, like they did with Sly Cooper.
Yeah, I would love that.
I mean, it would be cool to see, but I do agree with you that like they're making much better stuff now. Honestly, they are like I would say the leading studio like example for like all those studios as far as like those big AAA like cinematic experiences and everything. But it would be cool to see like maybe if they kind of like I don't know, kind of shared it, I guess, like with like another studio to kind of like work on or something like that.
Yeah.
Or something. But it would be cool to see, but I just don't think Naughty Dog proper should do it.
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to my suggestion of reach out to either indie studios or just any other kind of third party that's like looking for contract work and loves these IPs.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and whoever said Ape Escape earlier, I agree with that one as well.
Awesome.
Hey there.
With THQ Nordic being a thing, I just have a hope that they would someday give Darksider 3 a shot.
Yeah,
same.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And
Yeah,
also,
like THQ Nordic is like showing on the show floor right now is like really impressive. So it would be cool to kind of see them like go back to those old like franchises.
yeah, and also there's a Nintendo RPG that I really love to either see like a HD release or maybe graphical overhaul like of the original Paper Mario game.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, Mario RPG, Paper Mario, and Thousand Year Door, I think were the 3 best games in that sort of Mario RPG series. And then I just haven't been a huge fan of a lot of the Mario and Luigi games afterwards. So I'd love them to sort of go back to the drawing board with those 3.
Same here, yeah.
Very cool.
How's it going, guys?
Hey.
One game me and my friends used to always play in the Dreamcast was Power Stone, so I would love to see another Power Stone.
Yeah.
You are my new best friend. Come on. High five anyone who mentions one of my favorite games of all time.
Yeah, Power Stone 2 is so rad.
Yeah, that was. I remember. I'll just kind of say like off cuff that I went. I remember going to like one of the it was like the retro room or whatever. You know, like where you can like rent out like one of the games and like systems or whatever. And they had like Power Stone 2 like there. So it's like just going back to that like after like I don't know how many years. And just the muscle memory kind of coming back, and it's just oh my god, it's just so amazing.
Yeah.
Absolutely love that franchise. Yeah, so good.
Hey, originally I was going to come up here to champion the cause of Time Splitters, but someone already mentioned it. But there's another franchise I'm surprised no one else already mentioned. I mean, technically it's still ongoing, but in a way that is unrecognizable to the series roots, and I'm talking about Spyro. Because it's still technically ongoing in the form of Skylanders, but that's not really, it's not really Spyro.
Skylanders is cool, but we want proper Spyro.
Yeah, especially since, recently with the insane trilogy of the original Crash Bandicoot games coming out, now's a good time.
And like Insomniac's obviously a developer that's into that because the Ratchet & Clank last year was amazing. It was one of my favorite games of last year. So imagine giving them that sort of care to the original Spyro formula. Just reboot it as a new the first Spyro game, but just with a 2017 sensibility. Yeah, I would love that. I loved Spyro.
Did that new Ratchet & Clank sell well enough? You think that could lead to Spyro?
Yeah, it did. Yeah, it sold well, and it wasn't super expensive to make.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
And
I don't want to talk about the movie. The movie wasn't
along
good.
the lines of Spyro. I'm just gonna throw it out there. Croc. We need a new Croc.
Let's get our like weird lizard cinematic universe with Gex, Croc,
Gex,
Spyro. Yeah. Slippery Boys. Yeah.
The three-way crossover would be fantastic.
Hey.
Yeah. I'd like to see a new Asteroids or
like the original, like Defender.
or Galaga or
Galaga.
like
Galaga,
a 3D or open world.
Galaga Legion was awesome.
Yeah,
that was one
I
that I
remember
think
playing
that came up. I played it either on DS or on like downloadable. But yeah, no one did that because they did that with Space Invaders Extreme. We've had the cool new Pac-Man games, cool new Galaga. No one's ever done that with Asteroids. I feel like we don't have like a awesome reinvention of Asteroids.
Yeah, that is a really good call, honestly.
Like
I really like your answer.
an open world sort of thing as well.
Ooh. Well, what was No Man's Sky if not open world Asteroids?
I wasn't going to mention No Man's Sky. It's, again, pitchforks.
Yeah, that's a really good suggestion.
Way Forward's taken over a couple of those franchises with like Centipede and Contra, so they could be the studio to do something like that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, awesome.
I think we only have like 3 minutes left, so we'll do.
I picked this game up last month, and I'm seriously surprised that I haven't found anything like it. And it was made in like 2001 or something crazy. We need a remake of the original Dungeon Siege.
Yeah. God, Dungeon Siege is so good.
You can sum it up in just one sentence. It's basic, it's simple.
Yeah.
You and 7 guys team up and just kill everything.
Yeah. Yeah, I get behind that.
You can't find that anywhere else.
Yeah. Yeah, Dungeon Siege was awesome. Yeah.
Cool.
Did he make anyone else feel old by saying 2001 or something crazy like that?
Well, we got Asteroids like that.
I was 3.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think we have time maybe for 2 more, possibly, or So yeah, we'll do like 2 more here. Yeah.
There are no shooters out there today, or even on the horizon, that do it for me like SOCOM U.S. Navy SEALs used to.
Yeah.
That's one thing I don't like about the new Ghost Recon is the fact that back then you had voice commands. You could tell your PlayStation where your team could go.
That was back in 2001.
Yeah.
They had that
haven't
great
brought
voice
that
recognition.
Back, and I was like playing Ghost Recon, thinking about that like the other day, and I'm like, I wish I could just tell my squad where to go.
Yeah.
You think that would be so advanced by now, the voice recognition? And you had the teams working together to win the game, not off farming headshots to unlock a laser pointer.
Right. Exactly. It was really like kind of like ahead of its time, honestly, like at that point. Because I remember I was in college, like seeing like a friend of mine playing SOCOM, and like he was like talking with other people online. It's like you could do that in games.
Yeah, seriously.
So crazy. Yeah. Awesome. Thanks.
The other one I missed was Fear Effect.
Yeah.
Good call.
Yeah.
Good call.
Yeah.
It's a throwback.
The game I'd really like to see come back is Dungeon Keeper.
Yeah.
We only had that crappy mobile version.
That's the one. There was the mobile game where like you would tap to get rid of a brick, and then you either had to wait 48 hours for it to disappear or pay them $5.
Yeah.
Shocking.
Very cool. So I think that's all the time. Well, because you're dressed up like a cowboy here.
Yeah, we got it.
I'll give it to you. So you'll be the last one here. Yeah.
Thank you. I was going to say Ghosts and Goblins.
Yeah.
I'm glad I had you speak.
And
Very good call. Very good call.
another game a lot of people don't know about for the NES, Star Tropics.
Star Tropics,
I love Star Tropics. Holy shit, I haven't heard that in forever.
I have to mention, so my friend Bill Gardner, he's like working on Perception right now. He used to work on like Bioshock, like the Bioshock series and everything. He is a huge Star Tropics fan. And I know he would love nothing more than to like buy the IP off of Nintendo because that's another dormant franchise that Nintendo's not really doing anything with. I think it was on the NES Classic.
Yeah.
But aside from that, yeah, hell yeah.
So if you buy Perception enough times, maybe we get a new Star Tropics.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how you sell a game. That's how you sell a game.
Thank you.
Absolutely, very cool.
All right, so I think we got to pick a winner.
We
don't
have to pick a winner here. So I know for me, like Power Stone's kind of like a big one for me.
Yeah, I was thinking Power Stone or Jet Set. Those are the two.
Yeah,
Jet Set would be another one
I was
too.
thinking Power Stone or Jet Set.
Oh God, how do we do
Okay,
this?
so who said Power Stone?
Power Stone.
Where are you at Power Stone?
Let's leave it to an audience noiseathon.
Yeah.
Power
All right,
Stone
we're
and Jet
gonna
Set.
leave this to a noise vote. So if you want Power Stone, cheer.
Jet Set Radio? I think Power Stone edged it
I think Power Stone edged it out.
Power Stone edged it out a little bit.
All right, so who said Power Stone?
Gentlemen,
All right,
There it
come
is.
on up here, man. Give that a good home. Absolutely, man.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
Thank everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Legend of Dragoon for sure. Yeah, absolutely.